What's good, Rotten Rose family? It's your boy RottenRoseQ. We've done a masterclass on JK. We've done a masterclass on Jimin. We've done a masterclass on RM. And every time I sit down to do one of these, I ask myself, who is the hardest one to get right? Who is the member where if you get it wrong, if you miss the real story, you've actually done a disservice to the person? And every single time, the answer is Min Yoongi, SUGA, Agust D. 3 names, 1 person, and the most layered, most complicated, most quietly revolutionary story in the entire group. Today, we're going to go all the way in, birth to now, Daegu to the world, the underground to the arena, the pain to the healing, to the pride. And I'm going to tell you right now, by the end of this video, you will understand why Korean media gave this man the nickname, the Hand of Midas, and why that nickname is not hype. It is a documented fact. Let's get into it. Now, if you're not Korean, Daegu is a city you need to understand. Seoul was the center of everything in South Korea: the industry, the money, the entertainment, the prestige. If you want to make music in South Korea, you want to go to Seoul. If you're from Seoul, doors open. If you're from anywhere else, you start from further back. Daegu was South Korea's 3rd largest city. It's not nothing, but it is not Seoul. And in the K-pop industry, in any industry in Korea, where you're from matters. The city you were born in is a part of your identity. And it either gives you a head start or it doesn't. Agust D came from a modest family. His family was not poor by absolute measures, but they were not comfortable. In a 2018 interview, he said directly, "My family was completely against it. I never heard music in my house growing up. They said that I would fail." His parents wanted stability. They wanted what Korean society told them to want for their son: a government job, a reliable income, a conventional future. The same future Eno was writing to push back against. His parents hoped for him to become a government worker. Instead, at 13 years old, SUGA heard a song. That song was Ragamuffin by Stony Skunk, a reggae hip-hop hybrid that landed in his ears and changed the direction of his entire life. He said it was different from anything he'd ever heard. Then he heard Epic High, specifically their song Fly, and something locked in permanently. He said to himself, "Yes, I will also rap." Now here's the detail that most people skip right past, and it matters for what comes later. As a child, SUGA had piano lessons. He quit. He moved on. He went toward rap and production and forgot about the piano for years. That quitting would haunt him, and the regret of it and the eventual return to it became one of the most personal songs he would ever write. But that comes later. Hold on to it. By 13, he was writing lyrics and learning MIDI, music production software, on his own, not in a class, not with a teacher, by himself. In Daegu, because he wanted to, because he wanted it. At 17, he got a part-time job at a small local recording studio. He was arranging music, producing beats, and selling them to local artists. And here's the detail that says everything about who he is. The beats he sold, he was often scammed out of payment. The people he sold to wouldn't pay, and he kept going anyway. He joined the underground rap crew in Daegu called D-Town. His underground name was Gloss. In 2010, as a part of D-Town, he produced a song called 518062, a track commemorating the Gwangju Uprising, a pro-democracy movement in Korea. He was 17 years old, producing political music underground in Daegu with no label and no platform. That is who SUGA was before anyone knew his name. Before we go further, if this kind of deep dive is what you come here for, subscribe right now. We are pushing hard towards 10,000 subscribers this month, And every single one of you helps these masterclasses reach the army that needs them. Hit subscribe, hit that bell, and let's keep building this together. Now back to the story. In 2010, Big Hit Entertainment held auditions, their Hit It Rap competition. And here's something that most people don't know about how SUGA ended up in BTS. He didn't audition to be an idol. He auditioned to be a producer. There were 3 categories in the Big Hit audition: rap, dance, and composition. SUGA auditioned in rap and composition. He wanted to make music. He wanted to be behind the boards. The performance side of it, the idol world, the choreography, the fan culture, that was not something he came for. Bang saw something in him that went beyond production. He saw a performer, and he signed him for BTS, not just as a producer. SUGA has said publicly that he was essentially tricked into becoming an idol. He said it was humor, but there's a real truth underneath it. The person that showed up to the audition was a producer. The person who debuted in 2013 was a performer, a rapper, a public figure. That transition from the person who makes the music in the dark to the person who stands in the light was not natural for SUGA, and it cost him things. He moved from Daegu to Seoul in 2010. He was 17 years old. His family did not support the move. The relationship with music was not something that they understood. And the financial uncertainty of trying to debut as a K-pop idol from a small company nobody had ever heard of was not something that they could get behind. He moved anyway. Here's the part of SUGA's story that most casual fans don't fully know. And that makes everything that came after mean what it means. Big Hit Entertainment in 2010 had almost no money. This was years before BTS debuted, years before any success. The company was small enough that it was genuinely uncertain whether they would even have funds to debut the group. SUGA has talked about this openly. During his trainee days, there were periods where the company was close to falling apart entirely. Debut dates were unclear. The future was unclear. And SUGA was 17 in Seoul, away from his family, with no support and no guarantee. So he got a job, a part-time job as a delivery driver. He was not supposed to be working. Big Hit trainees weren't meant to hold outside jobs, but he needed money. He needed to pay his high school tuition in Seoul. He needed to eat. So he delivered. In 2012, during the delivery, it was raining. He was on a motorcycle. A car hit him. He dislocated his shoulder. And in his own words on the show, You Quiz, the tendon tore in my shoulder. I promoted for about 8 years like that, just getting shots. And so it got to the point where I couldn't lift my arm, which is why I ended up getting surgery. 8 years. He performed for 8 years with a torn shoulder tendon he got in a delivery accident he wasn't supposed to be in, doing a job he wasn't supposed to have, to survive a life he wasn't supposed to be living by his family's definition. And what makes it worse, he hid it from Big Hit, hid it from the members. He was afraid that if the company found out he'd been working a second job and been injured, that he would be dropped. He said he told people he fell down the stairs. He carried that secret and that injury alone. When Big Hit eventually found out, they helped get him treatment. But the injury never fully healed. It was diagnosed in 2019 as a posterior labral tear of his left shoulder. Surgery finally happened in November 2020 because it was stated that the choreography for Black Swan had done the shoulder in for good. He came back for the 31st Golden Disc Awards in January 2021 and kept performing. He chose to have surgery during the COVID pause in touring so that he wouldn't miss time with the members or time with the Army. That choice, to absorb pain privately for years so that the work could continue, is not a footnote in the story. It's the foundation of it. And I want to pause here for a second and speak directly to the Rotten Rose family, because this right here, this is not just the BTS story. This is the story of anybody who has ever carried something painful and kept showing up anyway. who kept delivering, literally. When the conditions were wrong, when nobody knew, when there was no guarantee. If you're grinding right now with a weight nobody else can see, this chapter is for you. SUGA did it, and he did it for 8 years before the world even knew his name. June 13th, 2013, BTS debuts. 760 copies sold in the first week. But even in those early records, even when nobody was listening, SUGA was writing things that mattered. He co-wrote Tomorrow on the Dark and Wild album, a song about grinding at 3 a.m. with nothing to show for it yet. A song that became one of the most quoted BTS lyrics for people going through difficult times. And then, in 2016, on the Wings album, he did something nobody expected. He went back to the piano. Remember the piano he quit as a child? The one he walked away from? He wrote a song called First Love, a 7-minute rap serenade to his childhood piano. He personified it as a friend he abandoned, a relationship he let go of, then found again. And the song ends with him saying that no matter how far he goes, the piano will always be there, waiting. That is not a metaphor. That is SUGA processing regret, time, loss, and return through a song in front of millions of people with his name on it. He wasn't writing for the moment. He was writing for the long run, for the person who will find it later. By the time BTS started gaining real traction, SUGA had already established himself as the group's architectural producer alongside RM and J-Hope. He wasn't just rapping. He was constructing the sound. Spring Day, arguably the most beloved song in the BTS catalog, is one of his greatest production achievements as a co-writer and producer. The song won Song of the Year at the 2017 Melon Music Awards. It is the longest charting song in history of the Melon chart in South Korea, and in 2024 became the first song to surpass 1 billion streams on the platform. That record was built by SUGA's hands. He was also the first BTS member to be promoted to a full membership in the Korea Music Copyright Association in January 2018. To become a full member of KOMCA, you need a substantial body of work and a certain level of revenue from songwriting. He was the first in the entire group, the first person whose output was enough to qualify. As of 2025, he has 169 registered songs with KOMCA as a writer and composer. That number, 169 songs, is not a vanity metric. Each one is a choice. Each one is a commitment. Each one is SUGA deciding that this moment deserves to be written down. And somebody like me gotta respect that because I've been making music ever since I can remember. And I understand the magnitude of not only being able to release 169 songs, but think about how many songs that he's actually written to get to that point. Music is not just a part of him, music is what he does. August 16th, 2016. BTS is famous. Not world domination famous yet, but they are real. They have fans, they have momentum, they are building something. And SUGA drops a free mixtape under the name nobody had ever heard before, Agust D. The name is a code. August is SUGA spelled backwards. D stands for Daegu Town, where he comes from. Agust D is who he was before the idol existed, the underground rapper, the delivery rider, the kid in Daegu who sold beats and got scammed and kept going. A mixtape opens with aggression. Agust D, the title track, samples James Brown, It's a Man's World, and comes out swinging. Flexing, confrontational, dismissing haters. Give It To Me follows in the same lane. Pure craziness, pure confidence. And then the mixtape turns. The last arrives, and it is unlike anything that had been said publicly in K-pop before. SUGA, a member of one of South Korea's biggest groups at the time, rapped about depression that came back time to time since his teens, OCD, social phobia, anxiety so severe it affected his daily life, his first visit to a psychiatric ward with his parents. The line, "On the other side of the famous idol rapper stands my weak self. It's a bit dangerous." The line, "Min Yoongi is already dead. I killed him." The erasure of self that fame demands. The line about his doctor asking him if he had considered ending his life and him just laughing. Around the age of 18, he rapped, he developed social anxiety right when his mind was gradually polluted. He said afterwards, "I wrote the lyrics thinking they could help others who are also anxious and depressed." This was not a person putting pain on display for attention. This was a person who had carried something private for years, who understood that the silence around mental health in South Korea, a country where self-deletion rates amongst young people were among the highest in the OECD, was killing people. And he decided to speak publicly with his name on it. Billboard called the mixtape unusually frank for Korea, where self-deletion is prevalent and mental health care faces extreme stigma. And here's what he did after saying it. He didn't just speak once and close the door. He continued in therapy. He continued to advocate for mental health awareness publicly, consistently, in interviews at a time when that was genuinely uncommon in Korean entertainment. He said in one interview, "Anxiety and depression are always with me. I find it meaningful to figure out ways to deal with my anxiety and depression. I have to consistently study myself." That sentence, "I have to consistently study myself," is one of the most mature things any public figure has said about living with mental health struggles. He didn't say he was healed. He didn't say he beat it. He said he studies it, he learns it, he manages it, and he makes music. Just him saying that alone lets you know, even if you are not at a point where you're feeling like you're winning in the battle of depression, learning about it, taking the time out to understand it will give you a better perspective on how to deal with it. That right there meant a lot to me. The Agust D mixtapes was produced entirely by SUGA. Every beat, every arrangement, every decision released for free, just given to whoever needed it. And it was the beginning of a trilogy, not the end of a confession. The beginning of a full trilogy. D2 in 2020 went deeper. D-Day in 2023 went all the way to the bottom and came back up with something that felt like, finally, peace. The trilogy ends with Snooze, a song about taking a break when you're exhausted, about telling someone it's okay to rest, about the journey from "I can't die so I'm living" and the last to "it's okay to take a break if you're tired" and Snooze. That is not a small arc. That is 7 years of documented healing put on record for anyone who needed to see that the other side of that much pain was survivable. This kind of truth telling is exactly why this series exists. If these masterclasses are hitting you the way they're hitting me, subscribe, turn on that bell, and drop in the comments what was your entry point into SUGA's music. Was it the last? Was it first love? Was it Dutch? Man, I don't know how to say that word. Let me know which one. I read every comment, every single one. For years, after Agust D and made 4 years, 4 years after 4 years after Agust D, 4 years after Agust D, in May 2020, D2 arrived. Also free, also entirely self-produced. D2 peaked at number 11 on the US Billboard 200. A free mixtape by a K-pop idol rapper hit number 11 on the US American. A free mixtape by a K-pop idol rapper hit number 11 on the American album chart. That's not a K-pop story. That became a music story. D2 continued what Agust D started, the excavation of the interior. Hansul, about drinking alone with difficult emotions. The massive hype track built around traditional Korean military music that built a cultural moment in its own right, with the music video getting nearly 200 million views. Amygdala, from the later D-Day album, named after a part of the brain that processes fear and trauma, is one of the most sonically complex and emotionally honest songs in his entire catalog. Then April 21st, 2023, D-Day, his debut official studio album, the third and final installment of the Agust D trilogy. D-Day debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200, tying Jimin as the highest charting South Korean solo artist of all time on that chart. The album included People Part 2, featuring IU, a collaboration between two of the most critically respected artists in South Korean music. It won Best Rap and Hip Hop Performance. It won Best Rap and Hip Hop Performance at the 2003 MAMA Awards. It included Snooze, featuring the legendary Japanese composer Ryuichi Sakamoto, recorded before Sakamoto's passing in March 2023. And Wu Song of the Rose. Pace magazine called SUGA's performance of Snooze during the final D-Day concert one of the year's most powerful moments in pop music. After D-Day dropped, SUGA went on tour, his first solo world tour, and the numbers are not K-pop numbers. They are music numbers. 57.2 million total gross, 28 sold-out shows, 320,000 tickets, the highest grossing tour by a Korean solo artist in history. $30.2 million in North America alone, 11 shows, 101,000 tickets. The highest grossing tour by any Asian solo artist in US history. $3.164 million in a single night at the Korea Forum in Inglewood. The first rapper, not the first Korean rapper, not the first Asian rapper, the first rapper, period, to gross over $3 million in a single arena concert in US history. He was not in a stadium. He was in arenas. Arena-sized numbers that broke stadium records because every seat was sold. Every single one sold out in minutes. And at the final show in Seoul's KSPO Dome, the other members who were already in various stages of military service came. Jin and J-Hope on special military leave just to be there. Jimin performed. RM performed an unreleased track. They all came to stand next to him at the end because that's what family does. Let me tell you about the nickname. Korean media calls SUGA the Hand of Midas. In Greek mythology, King Midas had a gift. Everything he touched turned to gold. The nickname is a direct reference to SUGA's track record as a producer and a songwriter for other artists. Here's what that track record actually looks like. Saran, Wine, 2017. SUGA produced and co-wrote it. It peaked at number 2 on the Gaon Music Chart and won Best Soul and R&B Track at the 2017 Melon Music Awards. He wasn't in the song. He just made it, and it won. Lee Sora, Song Requests. He co-wrote it and was featured. It became one of the most critically praised Korean ballads of that year. Epic High, Eternal Sunshine. He co-produced it. Let that land for a second. Epic High was one of the groups that inspired him to become a rapper at 13 years old. A 13-year-old boy in Daegu heard Epic High's Fly and said, yes, I will also rap. He grew up to produce for them. That is not a career achievement. That's a full circle. Halsey, SUGA's interlude. On Halsey's album Manic, he produced and featured. A Grammy-nominated artist put his name in the song title. PSY, That. He co-wrote, co-composed, co-produced, and was featured. It became PSY's biggest hit in years, a genuinely massive commercial record. He wrote it, made the beat, appeared in the video, and watched it go everywhere. That's one of my favorite songs, man. I love listening to that song even to this day. He did production with Coldplay. Coldplay. Production collaboration credits on BTS work. IU. People Part 2. And 169 songs on KMOCA. His own group's catalog. Spring Day, Tomorrow, First Love, Black Swan. The architecture of BTS's sound has his fingerprints all over it. Korean media didn't give him that nickname for nothing. Every project he touches, his own or someone else's, performs. Not because of industry connections, not because of marketing, because the music is good, because he makes it good. In 2014, when BTS had no money, when they were still nobody, SUGA made a promise to the army. He said, if I make it, if I find real success, I will buy my fans meat. In Korean culture, treating someone to a meal of meat is a gesture of celebration and gratitude. It's not a small thing. It's an act of care. In 2018, on his 25th birthday, he made good on that promise. He donated beef to 39 orphanages across South Korea in Army's name. Then, on his 26th birthday, roughly 88,329 BT21 Shuki dolls to the Korea Pediatric Cancer Foundation. In February 2020, when COVID hit Daegu particularly hard, he sent money to the Hope Bridge National Disaster Relief Association for his hometown. In March 2021, he also sent money to Daegu's Kim Young University Dongsan Hospital for children with cancer who couldn't access treatment because of the money. 4 separate major donations across 4 consecutive years, each one quietly done. No press conference, no announcement campaign, just given. That's SUGA, the same person who once had a choice between bus fare and food and soul, who once delivered packages in the rain to afford tuition, who once hid an injury for years because he was afraid of losing his spot. He made it, and the first thing he did was give back. That's one thing I see a lot when I'm doing my American Hustle Life series as well. These guys learn so much, and they've always had a heart for the people. They've always been down to earth, and SUGA embodies that in so many different ways. On September 22nd, 2023, 7 weeks after the final D-Day tour show in Seoul, SUGA began his mandatory military service. Due to shoulder injury that had followed him since that rainy delivery in 2012, he was assigned as a social worker rather than active duty. He completed his service and was discharged in 2025, reuniting with the rest of BTS as they returned from their staggered enlistments. His return, all of their returns, built toward what Arirang and the 2026 Festa will become. The family photo with all 7 present for the first time since 2021, Come Over, produced by SUGA, unlocked for the world on June 12th, the first day of the Busan Homecoming concerts. The Busan concerts themselves, 13 years completed. And the thing about Come Over is that it lands differently when you know this story. A song about a restless heart that always comes back, written and produced by a man who once hid an injury for 8 years, who delivered in the rain, who said the hardest things out loud when everyone else was silent. He came back to the music, to the members, to Army, and he made the song about it. He is still quite the architect, still in the room when the music gets made, still building the next chapter with his hands, the same hands that have 169 songs registered with KOMCA in a discography Korean media calls the Hand of Midas. Here's what SUGA proves. He proves that the quietest person in the room can be the one doing the most important work. He proves that vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the most powerful tool a writer has. Every time he chose to say the real thing instead of the comfortable thing, he built something that outlasts the moment. The last is still finding people who need it. 10 years after he released it for free on SoundCloud. He proves that where you come from does not determine where you go. He came from Daegu, from a family that didn't believe in him, from a company that had no money, from a delivery job in the rain that broke his shoulder. And he built 169 songs and a $57.2 million tour and a discography that Korean media calls the Hand of Midas. He proves that you can be both things at once, the idol and the underground artist, the performer and the recluse, the person who fills 30,000-seat arenas and the person who would genuinely rather be in the studio alone at 3 a.m. And he proves that the most generous thing an artist can do is tell the truth because someone somewhere is living what you're afraid to say out loud. And when you say it anyway, with your name on it in public, you give them permission to survive it. No More Dream asked, "Do you have a dream?" And O asked, "Who took it from you?" Danger asked, "What happens when someone doesn't value what you give?" Black Swan asked, "What if you pour everything into your art and lose the feeling?" The last answered, "I lost myself too, and I'm still here." That is Min Yoongi. That is Agust D. 3 names, 1 person, the most important quiet voice in BTS. Rotten Rose family, we are grinding hard toward 10,000 subscribers right now. From where we started to where we are to where we're going, this series is proof that doing the work with truth and care builds something real. SUGA proved that, and we're proving it too. If this masterclass hit you, if the delivery accident, the shoulder, the last, the epic high full circle, the donations, any of it moved you, subscribe right now. Hit the bell, like this video, and even hit the hype button. It tells the algorithm to put it in front of the army who hasn't found the channel yet. Every like, every comment, every share is how we grow, and I appreciate every one of them. Drop in the comments, what was your first entry point into SUGA's solo career? The last? First love? Or did you find them through the BTS catalog and work your way back? I want to know because every comment shapes where the series goes next. For early access, extended cuts, member-only BTS analysis, and behind the scenes on how these masterclasses get made, join the RottenRoseQ Patreon or the YouTube memberships. Link is in the description. And if you want to support the grind directly, the Cashapp is $RottenRoseQ. The other masterclasses, Jungkook, Jimin, RM, are all linked right here. And the song series, No More Dream, NO, Danger, Black Swan, are all there too. Because every member has a story this deep. And we're doing every single one. We are the Rotten Rose family. I appreciate every single one of you. There's not one comment that goes unnoticed. Thank y'all for watching. It's your guy, RottenRoseQ, and I'm out of here.